All right, everybody. I have finally finished 11/22/63. My plan was to bring it out here and hold, but my hands hurt and I don't want to hold it this whole video. So I'll just put it up here. I'll cheat a little. 11/22/63 is my first Stephen King book, and I finished it. I'm so excited. It was pretty much the most perfect choice for my first Stephen King I can imagine. I'm sure there are other ones, and Stephen King fans can tell me if like there was a better entry point, but this was like the most perfect first book I can imagine. It has made me fall in love with Stephen King's writing style. I knew he was a great author, but now I know why. It had a great ending, and I've heard that's like a weakness of his, but no, he had a great ending to this book. And it wasn't scary, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm not really much of a horror reader, though I will read a couple of his horror books, just not all of them. I think I mentioned in I'll link it down below, books that I'm not planning to read. I'm never gonna read it, but there are a couple. Ooh, here's a Fluffy. There's a couple of Stephen King books that I am planning to read that are horror. The big one that I want to read is Misery. That's the biggest one that I want to read. But let's get back to 11/22/63, because I'm sure you're wondering what I think of it. So non-spoiler to begin with. This was an absolutely excellent read. Despite its length, the pacing was immaculate. It was so quick, so action-packed, and you just never wanted to put this book down. I would just like lose myself in this book and then realize I'd been reading for 2 hours and needed to get up and move around, because this book is just so hard to put down. This book also has amazing characters. The main character I identified with like straight away. He was so fun to read, and I loved his thought processes through what was going on. He reacted to things in such a believable way, even though it was fantastical things happening to him. He was just such a believable character, and so were his other people around him. Yeah, I just like was so attached to the characters, and the whole premise of the book is so intriguing. I've told my friends about it, and they were like, oh, I never saw myself reading Stephen King, but that sounds like a book I would like. So it's definitely like a huge selling point to me, just the premise of it. I'm not going to say this premise right now because I don't know if you consider that a spoiler. You can kind of tell from the cover though. So I'm not going to say the premise of it until the spoiler section. But if you don't find that as a spoiler, then you can watch like just a little bit into the spoiler section. I'm trying to think of what else I can say non-spoiler. Just basically, please read this book. If you've never read Stephen King like I am, it is the perfect first Stephen King. And if you have read Stephen King and you haven't read this one, I'm sure you'll like it. I think that some people were annoyed that it wasn't horror, but I feel like he had a gap of not writing for a while, and so I feel like a lot of people were just really excited to have another Stephen King book. That was great. So I'm super excited for it. I really wish I could reread it. That's the problem with my reading schedule, is that I can't really reread books because I'm so busy reading new books. But it was a great book, and I would love to reread it one day. I feel like it would be an awesome reread as well. Alright, so spoiler section. So this is the vague spoilers. If you're not sensitive to spoilers, you might not even consider these spoilers. So vague spoilers, just mild spoilers here, just to talk about the premise. Oh my goodness, this is like the most fantastical premise ever, and I love it. Y'all know I hate time travel, but this time travel is the best. There was only maybe one little info dump at the end that was annoying to me, but other than that, the time travel in this book is so much fun. So the premise is a guy time travels to be able to save Kennedy from being assassinated. So that's the premise of the book, and it is so much fun. Oh my goodness. So yeah, highly recommend this book. It is so much fun. The premise is so much fun. You should read this book. Those are the mild spoilers, just talking about the premise. But let's go into the actual spoilers. Please do not watch this if you have not read this book, because this book is amazing and there's some really great twists to it. So please don't watch the spoiler section. Warning here, do not watch the spoiler section. Alright, I love Jake so much, and I love Sadie so much. They're the cutest couple ever. And I was even spoiled that he had a cute love interest in this book, so I was like waiting for it, and I was like curious to see if he got back together with his ex, and he didn't, thank goodness. But the whole time I was just like waiting for this love story, and oh my goodness, it did not disappoint. It was so cute. They're adorable together, and I loved them. And when she showed up in his like weird, not hotel room, but sort of the day or the day before or the morning of the assassination, and she was just there, I was like, how on earth did she get there? How did she find him? It was so cute that she was like, you cannot do this without me. And yes, it was a little predictable that she would die in the end, but I don't know, it was just so sad and so like, oh, I knew it, but like, how could he, kind of like heartbreaking, after all that they'd been through together. And then like, because time travel is a thing, you're like kind of suspecting that it could still be okay, and then at the end it's kind of still not okay, but kind of is. It's like a happy sad ending, and it's just so beautiful. I don't know why. I guess in other Stephen King's he like doesn't have great endings, but it was such a perfect ending. This book was so beautifully ended, because he like meets her when she's old, and they like have a moment, and she's like, I feel like I know you, but like I don't know you. And he was like, exactly, we like knew each other in another life, and then they like danced together. It was so beautiful and romantic. I feel like I've been reading books where the like Robert Jordan is famously not good at romance. I feel like I've been reading books where the romance isn't the best, and to read this book where the romance was so satisfying was just like, oh, so good. Oh my goodness. So I've also been reading my least favorite Jane Austen novel, which is Northanger Abbey, and so I'm not like that satisfied with that one either. So like the romance was like mwah, perfect. The only thing I really didn't like was him going back to the future Back to the Future, and like it's horrible, it's like apocalyptic, and he like goes on for pages about how horrible it is. That was such a depressing thing, and like I knew he was gonna fix it, but it was just like, no, after all of that effort, and it was all for a waste. And so, but it did fit so well. I'm not really complaining about it. I ranked, that is a really loud bird, I don't know if you could hear it. I did rank this, my goodness, sorry. I did rank it 5 stars. Like, it was almost perfect. Like, there was only like a chapter that was like really depressing, but it was like kind of a good depressing. So yeah, I really don't know what else to say. It's such a good book. I love it so much, and it's like, it's in that category of books where I just wanted to pick it back up again. So that's really all I have to say about this book. It was really, really great. I love that he's like kind of the knight in shining armor that goes off into the distance, and no one knows where he came from, and then it ends up being horrible for the world. It's just like, it's like almost poetic justice, kind of. Oh my goodness. But it was just, yeah, such a satisfying book, and I loved it. And I'm really excited to read other Stephen King now. My next Stephen King, I think I've already said this, is going to be Misery, I think. The other one I really wanted to read was, I think it's called Lawn Mile. And it's like, it might be Green Mile. I'm not quite sure. But it's basically, I need to look it up. It's a Stephen King novel where they're just like walking and talking. That sounds so fascinating to me. And then, of course, Shawshank Redemption, I believe, is a short story in like a novel of short stories. And I believe I already have it in storage somewhere. So that like collection of short story, I believe I have it somewhere. I can't remember what it's called, but again, I can look it up. But yeah, those are the Stephen Kings I'm really interested in. I don't think I'll be reading The Stand yet. Maybe someday, but it's really, really long. But I am interested in reading The Stand. Like I said, never read it. I never will. I kind of also am interested in the car one. Is it called Carrie? Y'all can tell me in the comments below if it's called Carrie. I'm very interested in that one too. I've heard it's like really trippy, and I kind of think I would like it. So yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, my first journey into Stephen King, and it was a really good one. I'm really glad that that's the one that I picked for my first, because I think it was a perfect choice. So yeah, please comment below and tell me which Stephen King you've read, and if you have a favorite, because I'm really, really intrigued by what y'all think of Stephen King. The only thing I really have to go by is Mike's Books Reviews videos on Stephen King. I don't really know of a ton of people who read him anymore, especially not for my generation. So I'd be very interested to see if other people are reading Stephen King and what they think of him. So yeah, please let me know. Please recommend Stephen King books to me. Don't recommend it. I'm just simply not going to. But the other ones I'd be happy to read. So yeah, that I think is all, and I will see you next time. Bye!